Yeah, and all of my conspiracy theories, as it turns out, have come true.
Yeah.
They're no longer theories. They're now proven hypotheses. But you know what I do wonder about it. I was thinking about this morning that this hailstorm of negative publicity about me really kind of not. It goes beyond like hit pieces to be just this, poisonous vitriol. And that it's coming from all the legacy media, from the Atlantic Monthly, from New York Magazine, New Yorker, from the Washington Post, from the New York Times, from Vanity Fair, Daily Beast, Daily Kos, Rolling Stone, and many, many others. And they all kind of use the same talking points, and they also are not accurate. None of them has really written an accurate. And that's one of the reasons it doesn't trouble me, is because it's just inaccuracies and distortions.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is an environmental lawyer, author, and candidate for President of the United States, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Finally, welcome to the Rubin Report.
Dave, thanks for having me. Sorry it took me so long.
No, I'm glad to have you. And with all the media stuff you've been going through over the last couple of weeks, you've given us plenty to talk about. First off, though, you usually do these interviews sitting in your library. Am I getting the special office interview, or what's going on here?
I'm in a hotel room in New York City.
Hotel in New York? I'll take it. All right. So let's dive into it. I thought before we get into some of the specifics and all the media stuff that's been happening and everything else, I was once a Democrat. And when we talk about you on my show, people often ask, Dave, what makes RFK a Democrat at this point? This isn't 1960, 1970, 1980. So I guess that's my first question to you. What sort of lines you up with the modern Democrat Party at this point?
Well, I don't. My loyalty and affiliation and affinity for the Democratic Party is, for the party that I grew up with. And I think, what's happening in the party today is unfortunate. I do believe the party is redeemable ultimately. And I think our country is redeemable. And I think we need both of those things to happen. If you went through a checklist, Dave, of all of the things that my uncle, John Kennedy, my father, Robert Kennedy, believed in, and Edward Kennedy believed in, I would kind of check probably every item on the list. Whereas today, some of the issues that the Democratic Party has embraced are things that I'm uncomfortable with. And I think a lot of people around the country are. And a lot of the traditional base of the Democratic Party, which was working people's unions, American middle class, and now more and more minorities, blacks and Hispanics are moving away from the Democratic Party because they feel like they've been neglected and that the party is not representing their interests anymore or their values.
What do you think the best way to sort of separate what I would consider the old school classical liberals, guys like you and your uncle and your father, from what's going on with the more radical progressive branch?
Well, I just talk. I try not to talk about. I try not to badmouth anybody. I think there's been enough of that in this country, and people are done with it. And we need to find a path back to civility and to end this very, very toxic polarization. So I try not to condemn other people, and I talk about the things that I believe in, which are the traditional values of the Democratic Party. I try to find, and I've always done this, try to identify the values that we have in common rather than focusing on the issues that hold us apart. I spent 35 years as kind of with one of the leading environmental champions in this country, but I was speaking regularly, probably doing 60 big speeches a year to mainly Republican groups, and I was getting standing ovations in most of them because I didn't focus on the issues. There's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. We all want a clean environment. And yet it had become a very partisan issue. So I tried to talk about the environment in a way that every American could embrace. And I think most of us, 80% of us, agree on 99% of the issues.
Yeah. Have you been shocked at the way the media has been treating you? Because you've been out there basically talking to everybody, having open conversations. You're talking to people on the right. You're talking to people on the left. And the media has gone after you in an absolutely crazy way. I want to read one headline to you. It's about your wife, who I adore. And we were sort of in similar circles when I lived in L.A. and I love Curb. But this headline that I'm sure you saw from the New York Times, Cheryl Hines, the Curb Your Enthusiasm actress, is beloved in Hollywood. Now she's supporting the presidential campaign of her husband, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Is she normalizing his often dangerous ideas? I actually retweeted it and I asked people to come up with some of your dangerous ideas, and nobody seems to really know what they are, but that doesn't stop the New York Times.
Yeah, and all of my conspiracy theories, as it turns out, have come true. They're no longer theories. They're now proven hypotheses. But you know what? I do wonder about it. I was thinking about this morning that because this hailstorm of negative publicity about me really kind of not. It goes beyond like hit pieces to be just this poisonous vitriol. And that it's coming from all the legacy media, from the Atlantic Monthly, from New York Magazine, New Yorker, from the Washington Post, from the New York Times, from Vanity Fair, Daily Beast, Daily Kos, Rolling Stone, and many, many others. And they all kind of use the same talking points, and they also are not accurate. None of them has really written an accurate. And that's one of the reasons it doesn't trouble me, is because it's just inaccuracies, distortions, mischaracterizations. But one of the things that kind of occurred to me is that there's something bigger at play there than just their kind of hatred of me. I feel like I'm kind of on the spear tip of a war between this declining legacy media and the evolving and emerging new media, the podcasters, all of these alternative news sites. And I'm in a litigation right now against an organization called the TNI, the Trusted News Initiative. The Trusted News Initiative was a conspiracy that was initiated by BBC, where they called together all of the legacy news sites, including API, the Associated Press, Reuters, the UPI, the Washington Post, and many, many others. And they married them to the social media sites, to Microsoft, to Google, Facebook, Twitter, and they all made an agreement with each other that they would censor certain kinds of information. For example, any information about COVID that departed from government orthodoxies, but also information that challenged any kind of political orthodoxies, like any reports on Hunter Biden's laptop, reports about the Ukraine war that were inconsistent with the official U.S. positions. And this was an extraordinary thing. This has never happened before. But we obtained during the litigation the internal communications. And one of the things that the BBC, the organizers, said at the beginning is that, this is about saving ourselves, our economic models, because we are, most people look at us and they say CNN and BBC are competitors, but we aren't. The real competition is coming from these thousands of emerging alternative media sites that are eroding trust in the legacy sites and are taking away our business model. And we need to bond together. And so the way it worked was that they would all identify issues and identify individuals who were saying things that should be censored. They would notify each other of those posts or those articles and of those individuals. They would censor them, and then the social media sites would not allow the sites that printed them on. Mm-hmm. So if you were, Green Med Info, which is a site that provides wellness information, or Joe Mercola, or one of these sites, these others are Breitbart or somebody who was departing from government orthodoxies, you would find yourself banned on social media. And those sites absolutely require social media for their business models. So if you prevent them from going viral, the way their business model works is they print articles or publish articles that then go viral. That's the only way that they grow, that they earn, that they can earn advertising dollars. So if you cut them off there, and this is what the memo from BBC said, we need to choke off those sites. So they wanted to kill all those sites. And they did it by agreeing on a single narrative, which was the official government narrative, and then censoring or ridiculing, or throttling or shadow banning anybody who challenged those orthodoxies. So you have the legacy media, which traditionally was functioning as guardians of the First Amendment of free expression. They were, they were supposed to courageously speak truth to power, maintain this posture of fear and skepticism towards big aggregations of power, government, corporations, and they now become the opposite. They become propagandists for the powerful and oppressors of free speech and the enemies of the First Amendment.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of mindless drivel, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.